Welcome back to another Melon Live. Man, it's been a great week for me. Hope it's been great for you guys. Last week we had a great conversation about the best cameras for live streaming. We went over different webcams, how to use your cell phone as a camera, DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, how to hook those up to your streaming setup. Um, and this week we're going to talk about live streaming tips for growth. What made me want to do this topic this week is I was watching a bunch of podcasts with Mr. Beast. So if you're not familiar, Mr. Beast is probably one of the biggest YouTubers. I think for a fact he's one of the biggest YouTubers. Crazy amount of numbers. But growing up, he only studied YouTube. That was like his whole thing. He didn't watch TV. He didn't do anything else. He just studied YouTube and what made people be interested in watching stuff. So I got a lot of gems and just great pieces of advice from that. And I wanted to kind of apply that to live streaming and share that what I learned from the podcast. So of course, live streaming is a great way to connect with your audience. If you haven't, make sure you sign up for Melon. We have a free account. Then we also have a standard and pro that gives you so many more features like multi-streaming, local recording, multiple participants. So it's great. But if you just want to start out, try Melon for free. Super easy to sign up. In less than 5 clicks, you can get your account up and going and start streaming. So of course we know streaming is a great way to connect with your audience, but the approach for streaming and regular videos, like a regular YouTube video, I feel like should be a little different. So I want to go over that today, and then a couple mistakes that I see people making while they're streaming, and how to avoid those so you can get growth, you can optimize your streams, get more people watching, get your message out there. So when it comes to streaming versus regular videos, with regular videos, I feel like people cut them very fast, keep people's attention span. With live streams, you can't do that as much because everything is just kind of, it's live. You're actually doing it. So you don't have the opportunity to cut and delete certain stuff, right? So you just got to be aware of where you want to go with the live stream. And if you're not sure what like response you're getting from the people, just make sure the content is fitting. And it goes back to like in some of the early episodes, we talked about having a stream plan, understanding your avatar, and who you're streaming to. So that plays a big part in making growth and just understanding your viewer. It's like kind of in business. It's like you make the stuff for the customer, not necessarily for yourself. And me learning that really helped me as a business person, as a marketer. So make sure that you're always kind of looking at the feedback from the audience and then applying that to yours. So with the algorithms, right? With YouTube, with Twitch, any of these platforms, right? You want to make content that you want to play the game, basically, right? It's hard to win at a game if you don't understand the rules. And so for me, YouTube has a certain format, Twitch has a certain format, TikTok, Reels, Shorts, they all have a certain format, right? And it's in your best interest to make content in those formats, because if you're going against it, you're not going to get a lot of results. For example, with TikTok, if you make a square like Instagram size video and it's got the black borders at the top and black borders at the bottom, it's not going to perform as well as you do a full screen TikTok in that 9:16, just because that's how TikTok works. All right. So you have to create for the actual platform. So with streams, you want to keep in mind of how they work, right? You're going to live stream, people are going to watch, and then a lot of people are going to watch your replays, right? So you want to make sure that you're optimizing for not only the live stream and what's going on now, but also for the replay. So when people go back and watch it, they have a good experience. And that's what's going to make YouTube or Twitch push your content. Any of these platforms, when they see people are in it, they always push more, right? So I had a Instagram post that I did recently. It was like a funny meme. And I got maybe 200 comments in the first day, which is abnormal for me, right? And it's still going. That's been one of my biggest posts that I've done in a long time. But it's because the algorithm understands, okay, people like this, they enjoy this, so we're going to push it out to more people. So the more they see that someone enjoys it or they're reacting and commenting to it, the more they push it out. So that's the goal that you want with your content. You want to get people to react, like, comment. So the algorithm is going to push you out to a further net, because they want to put content that they think they could put ads and keep the customer on the platform as long as possible. So the first thing that I've seen people do that kind of causes some issues, especially for like live streaming and with the replay, is having very long intros, like very, very long intros. I feel like if you're a bigger brand, you could do that kind of thing because you're already established. The person has a connection with you already. So it's easier if you're already established to do these kind of things. But if you're a new streamer, I would focus on a short, sweet intro. You could do a countdown like how I do, which gives you a little breath, gives you a time to gather yourself before you start streaming. Or you could do like a custom one, which is super easy to upload in Melon. Do a custom intro, kind of show what your show is about, but you want it to be quick. I wouldn't do anything over a minute because people attention spans are so short when it comes to content. So if you're not grabbing them off the top, off as soon as the content hits, then you're gonna start losing people, right? And a great thing from that Mr. Beast podcast, he was saying that he cuts out anything that he thinks is gonna drive people away. Sneezes, coughs, long intros. Like, he's straight to the point. If you ever watch a Mr. Beast video, he's like, soon as the video starts, he's explaining what it is and he's straight to it. So that's the kind of the mindset that you want to have with your stream. Quick intro, be able to get your stuff together and then go straight into the topic, right? Because the more time you linger, the more people kind of be like, okay, I'm gonna switch off, I'm gonna do something else. So it's easy, it's so much stuff coming at us these days. It's easy to get distracted. I find myself so many times like I'm gonna pick up my phone to do some work, and then I'm like on Facebook. I'm like, how did I get here? So you want to keep that in mind of people's attention span. Make it quick, straight to the point, and that way, you can get to your message a little bit quicker. And you want to make sure everything is concise, to the point, so that way people don't get so like caught off guard and lost in whatever the story is. So the next thing I want to talk about is thumbnails. And this is what, from that podcast, I was like so shocked about, right? Mr. Beast was talking about he spends about $10,000 per thumbnail, and he has 3 versions of each thumbnail. And if one doesn't work, he'll just keep like switching them out. And how important thumbnails are. Because you think on YouTube, right? If you're looking at your suggestion, it's basically like a real estate battle, right? Everybody's trying to compete for attention, right? So the thumbnail is super important. Thumbnail and titles are so important to your stream, your content, because that's what's going to draw people in. So one way that I see people do a lot, and it took me a while to realize what they were doing, but people will have photo shoots. They'll put on like a black shirt, a white shirt, something plain where you can't really identify the time. And they'll do photo shoots and they'll do a bunch of poses, right? Surprise faces, sad faces, just different variations of looks. And then they just keep using those for the thumbnails, depending on what the content is, right? So that's a great way that you can always have fresh thumbnails. I would recommend getting a template. For Melon, I have a template that I got someone to make for me, and I could just replace the images, change the copy a little bit so they look the same, but it's different enough to where you can tell that it's a different episode. So you want to make sure that people understand, like, oh, this is different. I wouldn't use the same static logo thumbnail for everyone, because then it's going to be hard to tell what episode is new, right? So if you have a template, you could use Canva, you could use Adobe, you could use Figma. Any of those kind of platforms have thumbnail templates, and you could just swap out the images from your photo shoot, put some background stuff that's relatable to whatever the content is. But the key is you want to make it eye-catching. You want to stand out above everybody else. So I would study other people's thumbnails, content creators that you like, look at their thumbnails, see what they're doing with them. And with the text for thumbnails, you want to have just enough to explain what's going on, but you don't want to have too much. You don't want to take away, because the real estate of a thumbnail is very small on there. So the more wording, it's going to look jumbled. So you want like maybe, I say 3 to 4 words, very clear and concise. And that will help, people see and click on your videos. And click-through rate and retention is super important towards your live stream. So people clicking on your stream helps the algorithm push it forward. The retention of how long people are staying, how long people are watching, all of this helps with growing your actual live stream. So just keep that in mind. Thumbnails are super important. And I couldn't believe that he spent that much on thumbnails, but he's also getting millions and millions of views per video. So it makes sense. So let's see. Let me look at my notes. So yeah, your titles. I'll get to titles. Let's do titles. So titles, I would say thumbnails are first, titles are second. Titles can be tricky. I've had a lot of practice. I used to run a lot of and manage Facebook ads. So headlines and writing that stuff is like super important. You always have to test different headlines. So I've gotten pretty good at coming up with different headlines. But it's super important. You don't want to be clickbaity, which is like kind of misleading people, but you also want to be exciting. You want people to understand that I need to click this, right? And the way I do it is I always try to put a benefit with whatever the thumbnail, the content is, right? So it's different ways you could do it, but always add a benefit, always add some kind of mystery, because that's what's going to get people to click. Just don't overdo it. You'll see some people and they'll like mislead, and I feel like it makes people more angry than anything, right? So try not to mislead the person, but you want to be exciting. So it's a thin line, you know. Sometimes it's easy to kind of go overboard with it, but you want to make sure that you're staying true to the content, making sure that nobody's gonna get upset with you because they thinking the content's gonna be one thing and then it's about something totally different. But it's super important, and especially for like SEO purposes, right? Because YouTube is owned by Google, and Google's the number one search engine. YouTube is number two, right? So how you title, what you include in these titles and your descriptions are very important. So you want to keep that in mind. And most people, they read from left to right. In America, we read from left to right. So you want the important stuff on the left, to try to always kind of get them to click. That's your goal. When I was learning marketing, they would always say you're selling the click, right? So with Facebook ads, Facebook ad doesn't get you to buy. You want, the goal for a Facebook ad is to get them to click. The goal for your thumbnail and your title is them for the click. It's not necessarily for them to watch. That's what the hook and the content comes in. That's to get them to watch. So if you understand that your goal is to get them to click, then to me, it makes it a little simpler. It makes it better, right? So just keep that in mind as far as your content. You want to make sure it's nothing crazy, no misleading. Look at your analytics and kind of see what videos do well, and what doesn't, and then kind of adjust towards that. If you see a video does well and you use this kind of caption, make sure you look at your analytics, note that, go back next time. How can I make a variation of this? How can I use what I've learned from this and apply it to the next title? So that's kind of what I've been doing. I've been looking at the Melon analytics. I'll see like, okay, this thumbnail did well, this title did well. Okay, how can I think more like that and add to that? So branding. If you want to grow your live stream, branding is super important. And branding is not only your logo and colors and stuff like that, but like actually understanding your customer, how you come off to your customer or your viewer. So it's super important. It breeds like people being familiar, consistency, all of that stuff comes with your branding, right? So of course, you want your logo, you want your stream to look well. And with Melon, it's super easy to do, right? We have so many design templates. We have overlays that you can just add to your stream, and it makes it look super great. You can add your own custom ones. We have a couple blogs about how to customize and design your own. So yes, branding, logo, and all that stuff is super important. And you want it to be kind of consistent across all your platforms, right? You don't want it to look one way over here and then one way over here. So sometimes what I like to do is, and for me, it's very fun, is making like mood boards, like brand boards. So like knowing what fonts you're going to use, knowing what colors you're going to use, and having the hex codes and different stuff like that. So it's always consistent. So no matter what platform you're on, if you're on Twitch, all of your stuff can be matching that. If you're on YouTube, all your stuff can be matching, and people will get familiar with your brand. I know, and another thing I've noticed is a lot of streamers, they name their audience. So coming up with a name, to me, it can be tricky, but it's one of those things that if your audience kind of, you know, they're they have a name. It's something like a team almost. It's like you're helping them come together. So I would always focus on trying to name it if it makes sense, right? Your community, give it a name so people, again, it's recognizable. People will have something to kind of relate to and go through like that. Um, what else? So forums is a great way. It's basically like taking like a small survey. You can use Google Forms. It would be super easy. It's probably the easiest, simplest way. But I would put those in your stream, put them on your website where people can ask you questions. And it what it does is, one, you're collecting information that of people who are interested in your content. Two, you're finding out what those people really, really want answered, which is a whole other piece of content, right? Whenever I get questions from the stream or the community, I'm like, oh, that's a good video idea, right? So that's the way I look at it. Any comments, questions, those are all new video ideas. Those are all new content ideas, right? So take the form, be able to have a record of like, oh, this is a problem somebody had. This is an issue, or this is a question somebody wants to know, right? And you can answer those live on stream, and it will encourage more people to open up, ask more questions, and that way you have a nonstop flowing of content, right? You always have content going, and people, interested in what you're doing, because a lot of times if one person is going through that issue, multiple people are going through that issue, right? So it's a good way to always be finding new ways of content, so you're not getting stale, because coming up with new content every week by yourself can be difficult, right? But once you have people asking questions and all that, it makes it so much easier. Just the feedback. And then, okay, some tips. When writing content for a live stream, try not to put too many like time relevant pieces in there, right? Because for some reason people don't like dated stuff. For some reason it's hard for me to watch older shows. If it's an older show, I will not watch it. I don't know what it is about it. It could be the greatest show ever, but for some reason, if it's an older show, unless I grew up watching it, I will not watch it, because I think it's like a relevance thing, right? It's like the context is kind of out of place now than it was years ago, so I don't think I would understand it as much. And I feel like the same thing goes with live streams, where people, if they know it's a lot older, they feel like the information isn't is valid. And a lot of times that's not the case. A lot of this information stays the same for a long time, So, but you want to kind of avoid those kind of holidays, certain cultural events, unless that's what your topics are about. Like if you're doing like a news kind of show, then okay. But if you're just doing something more on like tips and educational stuff, I would try to stay away from that kind of thing, just to keep it evergreen, right? So you want that content to be able to live on the platform as long as possible. You want to encourage people to share, thumbs up, interact, ask questions, talk to the people, respond back. All of these things really go hand in hand. Once the video is finished, going through the comments, responding to people, you want to build a community. And responding back helps build that community. Talking with people, and just so they feel that you're a human, like you're a real person. It's like I was just having a conversation, and people be so like shocked when like we like respond back like, oh, it's a real person. It's like, yes, it's like, even though we're a company, we're a business, we're still going to respond to you. We're still going to have a conversation. We're still going to talk, right? And I think that plays a huge role, and people really want that interaction. So make sure you respond to the comments after the stream. Look through those comments to see if there's any new video ideas, and then concerns. And to me, that helps you become a better streamer, because then you're starting to be aware, you understanding what's going on. And if there's any questions in the chat, please let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. I'm here to answer questions. And on Melon, we got some new updates coming soon. If you haven't, check out the Trovo support. So Trovo is a new platform. You could just, again, it kind of reminds me of Twitch, but it's a growing platform. They have gaming, they have just chatting, which is becoming a huge thing, right? Of people just streaming and having conversation and finding other like-minded people. So to me, it's a great opportunity, no matter what your niche is, to kind of get into a new platform, right? And before a platform takes off, you want to be on it because that's the easiest time to grow, right? When now the TikTok is what TikTok is, it's harder to grow. But if you was on TikTok when it was Musically and you've been posting, you understand how it works, you understand the community, and you're probably way further than everybody else. So that we have that update. We have the background audio update, which has been great. It adds shuffle, repeat, playlist, and features to the music. So now you can have more functionality with your audio, your background audio with your streams. And then we got some cool stuff coming up. I'm always impressed of like how the team is always working on new stuff and new features. So it's a lot of cool stuff that's going to be rolling out. And a lot of it comes from the feedback from you guys from the community, right? So if you want to join the community and find other like-minded streamers, people who are growing and learning how to stream, or veterans who are experts at streaming. So you get a little bit of everything, right? You get people who are just starting, you get people who've been streaming for a little while, and then you've got extreme veterans who know a lot about content creation. And to me, it's a great mix, right? Because you can learn a little bit from everybody. I've been streaming for a while. I've learned a lot just being in the community, talking with people giving suggestions about ideas of how stuff should go. And it's like, you'll start learning so much. So if you want to join the community, it's Melon Community on Facebook. We would love to have you there. Come talk with us. Come ask questions. Come, join the conversation. I'm there checking the community pretty much every day, Monday through Friday. I'm there checking the community, all the socials. I'm on there responding back to you guys. So if you ever have a question, you need feedback, feel free to ask, and I will be there gladly to help to answer. Soon I was going to do microphones because we got this shiny, beautiful microphone, the Blue Sona from Logitech. It's one of my favorite new tools, new gadgets that I've gotten. So I will be soon doing content on microphones. I just want to get a little more comfortable with using this microphone and test it out. I literally got it right before the show last week. So I'm excited to do more content on that because I have this and I have the Shure M7, right? So I want to do some tests back and forth. But to me, this Blue Sona, the sound is incredible. I love the design of it. To me, it's the best looking mic in the market right now. So if you're looking for a microphone, this is a great one, the Blue Sona. Yeah. So to recap everything we talked about, right? You want to play the game for the algorithm, right? So YouTube, the game has got certain rules. You want to TikTok, certain rules to that, right? So you want to make your content fit those, right? So if you're taking stuff from your live stream and you want to put it on TikTok, don't use the little square Instagram kind of, format. I would use the full 19:16, right? Crop it that way because that's what works on TikTok. Understand where the captions go on TikTok. Understand where, your face should be. And for YouTube is the same way. Like thumbnails are super important. Your titles, the length of the videos, are people engaging? You want to understand what the rules are so you can excel and play in that game. Try to keep your intros short and to the point. You want to be very concise with your intros. The longer the intro, I feel like people get bored with it. So just, you want to make it's very short, concise, to the point so people can get right to the action. I feel like everybody's attention span is a little bit shorter just because how social media works. We're looking at so much stuff so fast. So now I feel like it's more important than ever to kind of be aggressive with your content and get to the points and keep people there, right? With a good hook, with a great intro, and enticing them in so they understand what it is and why they should stay. Thumbnails, super important. Again, I was watching Mr. Beast podcast and he was talking about $10,000 per thumbnail. Well, for 3 thumbnails per video, which to me is crazy. But again, he understands what makes a good thumbnail and what's going to catch people's eye. So study people like him. Any YouTuber that you really enjoy, you want to study what their thumbnails are because that's what people are going to see, right? That's your real estate in YouTube or whatever it is. that's going to be your real estate that's going to get people to click. So you want that to be engaging. You want that to stand out. So great way to do it is just study people that it's working for and then try to replicate that and then add your own flavor to it. And again, do a photo shoot, take a bunch of pictures of yourself that you could just cut out and then you can apply to those thumbnails. And a lot of times what I see work is thumbnails with different faces. Like you'll see people with sad faces, surprise. Those work really well. So just try to give yourself a bunch of different variations and then you can just add those to your thumbnails and you'll get more clicks, hopefully. Branding, of course, is important. Understanding having your logo and your design match up with your messaging is super important. Understanding who your customer is, who your viewer is, and you want all of that to kind of match, right? I was helping somebody like make a website. They were asking me about some marketing advice, and I was telling them that they do like skincare in Beverly Hills, but the website colors, are kind of, they didn't match. So the branding didn't match what the message was, right? So you want to have that to match. We have Jimmy Reeves. I hope did I say it right? He says, what is is there a mic that works best with Melon live stream? So for microphones, you have a lot of options, right? If you want to go more premium option, I recommend this mic right here. It's the Blue Sona. It just came out from Logitech. It's an XLR mic, so you do need an interface. I have an interface right over here that powers it. It uses a thing called phantom power. And I'm sorry, I apologize. But yeah, it uses phantom power. But to me, this is one of the best mics. Then you also can use like the Blue Yeti, which is price point is a little cheaper. I think they go from maybe about 100 to, I think you can get a Snowball maybe for like $40. I haven't looked at the price of a Blue Snowball lately, but those are really great. USB microphones, you just plug them in. Super simple setup. This is a little more elaborate setup, but it's super easy. All you gotta do is turn on the 48, the phantom power, which is, you'll see on a lot of interfaces, is 48V, and then you're good to go. So if I could recommend something, I would do this one, the Blue Sona, but depending on your budget, and if you want me to, I'll definitely, it's been in my plans, but I'll definitely make a whole show about different microphones, what to look for, and what suits best, because some are like the shape of the microphones, depends, right? Some microphones are for placing in the center and having a group conversation. Some are made for being very close to your face and up on you. So understanding what the different mics do and how you need it in your situation will definitely play a big part. Titles and SEO. Again, YouTube is one of the biggest search engines. So you want to make sure that your title explains your benefits. You want to make sure that your description, again, is including keywords that's related to whatever your topic is, because that's how YouTube, Twitch, all of these categorize everything, right? It's based off of keywords, right? And even in your video, I don't know if it's exactly like this with YouTube, but I know with TikTok, right? When you turn on those auto captions, that's what they're using to be able to search video. So if you go on TikTok and you search a video and it pops up, a lot of times what it is because they're reading the auto captions. So you want to make sure that you're putting the keywords that relate to whatever the topic is in your titles and your descriptions, because it's going to make you more discoverable. Using forms to gather information and questions for your users, super important. That way you always have new ideas, new content ideas. Perfect example, Jimmy just said he was asking about what mic works the best. I'm going to take that question. I'm going to make a whole show about it, right? Because that, I'm sure other people have the same question as he does, right? And I only know because I was told by somebody else what the best mics to use, right? And then I was introduced to this. So use forms, use questions from the community to build your content out, right? Take those and make more content off of that, because that's the best way. That the audience is going to be engaged with it because the audience is asking you. So to me, that's one of the best ways to always be coming up with new content, stay creative, and not be so stressed out about what do I got to stream about or talk about this week. It just follow the community. The community asking you for something, that's what they want to hear about. So Thank you, Jimmy, for that, because I'm gonna next week, probably either next week or the week after that, I'm gonna do a show about microphones, and I'll break down because I got a few. I have Snowball somewhere around here. I have the Shure M7 right over here, and I have this one right here, and I think I got another Blue Yeti somewhere. So I feel like I have a good amount to talk about, and then we could talk about some cheaper options, some mid tier, and the high tier. I think that'll be a good show. And then for the tips, make sure that you don't use like super time relevant information unless it's like really important to the content, because it's going to date. And I feel like most people don't back watch a lot of stuff if it's not relevant for the time. You just want to keep the content evergreen, especially if it's more educational. And scheduling your stream. And Melon is super easy to schedule. That's how I do the show every week. Once I come up with the idea, once I make the thumbnail, I go in there, I schedule. You could set it to whatever destinations you want, and you pick a time. And it's so easy because you'll see the schedule button, and then all you do is click schedule, and you'll jump into that new studio, press go live, and you're live. So to me, it's great because you can email out the link, you can promote it on socials to get people hyped, get people excited, and then just go live. So if it's not any other questions, I'm going to get off here so you guys can enjoy your week. But I'm excited. I'm excited to make some more content. I've been enjoying just, coming on here and talking with everybody. It's been super fun. And even for myself, I feel like, I work at Melon, but I'm learning so much myself as just a creator from streaming. So it's cool to be able to talk with you guys and learn together with a lot of this stuff. And again, if you have questions, support@melonapp.com. Support is there to help. If you write us on socials, I'm there. I'm answering all the social stuff. Join the Facebook community. So if that's it, I hope you guys have a great week. Please try out some of the new features on Melon. Let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you guys. Hope you have a great week. Thank you.